The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio, Canada Sports Betting's hockey podcast. I'm your host, Andy MacNeil. I'm here on weekdays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time to provide NHL projections, picks, and betting advice so you can make more informed bets throughout the NHL season. This show is sponsored by NorthStar Bets. They offer early odds on the next day's NHL game, so check them out via the link in the description below. We'll be getting to Tuesday's odds a little later in the show. So far this season, I've made 158 NHL moneyline bets at average odds of plus 109. And those bets have gone 85 and 73. That's about a 54% win rate for plus 15.6 units and a 9.5% return on investment. We'll take a closer look at my betting record later this week. Right now, I've got 4 big matchups to handicap on Monday, all 4 marquee matchups. When does that ever happen? And 10 more to handicap on Tuesday. So let's get into it. Jake, how you doing today? You're still under the weather?
Yeah, voice is still pretty scratchy, coughing and sneezing and stuff. I guess that's the season for it. After Christmas, everybody spends time with everybody, and then everybody goes home sick. So, still trying to get over it, but hanging in there.
For sure, for sure. Well, we're not going to call on Jake very much today, if at all. I'll leave him alone. But yeah, let's get into the schedule breakdown here for a second. Not a whole lot to talk about. All teams in action on Monday. They've had 1 day off each. A couple of those teams, though, Vancouver and Boston, they're playing the first half of a back-to-back, and then on Tuesday we've got some teams like the Winnipeg Jets, Chicago Blackhawks, Calgary Flames. They're playing their 3rd game in 4 nights or 4th game in 6 nights. So not a whole lot to look out for there. You can take a screenshot now, take a little bit of a closer look at it later. But if you've been here before, you know that I factor all of this into my projections. So without further ado, let's get into the projections. Going to put Monday and Tuesday up on the screen. Of course, 4 games on Monday, 10 games on Tuesday, 14 games in total. Look at me with the math skills. Yeah. Anyway, Vancouver, like I said, they'll play on Monday and Tuesday against the Rangers first, then against the Islanders. Then they'll head off to Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Columbus to finish off a 7-game road trip. Of course, they opened up the road trip with a loss to the St. Louis Blues 2-1. Then they got back in the win column with a 6-4 win over the New Jersey Devils on Saturday. If you follow me on Twitter at Digital Gambler, you would have saw that I added a play on the Vancouver Canucks, bringing my betting card up to 2 bets for Saturday. So it was a pretty quiet weekend. We had the under in Anaheim and Winnipeg for a half unit on Friday. That was a winner. And then we had 2 money line bets, the Preds plus 150 to beat the Dallas Stars and the Vancouver Canucks at even money to beat the New Jersey Devils. Won both of those bets. The Preds, that was a 0.75 unit bet. So I believe we won 1.13 units on that bet. And then, of course, even money bet 1 unit to win 1 unit on the Vancouver Canucks. So a pretty good weekend, although it was a quiet one. And I'm going to put a bet on the Canucks here at plus 135. Look, NorthStar Bets, they've got the Canucks at plus 123, but there is another Canadian sports book here, Bet99 at plus 135. And I've got to take that price because it is currently the best price in market. I'm going to put a half unit down on this one because we don't know who's starting in goal yet unless something has come out in the last couple of minutes. But we don't know who's starting in goal yet for Vancouver. I would assume it's going to be Thatcher Demko. Assume it will be Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers, as Jonathan Quick was in goal on Saturday when the Rangers dropped an overtime victory to the Montreal Canadiens after falling behind by the score of 3-0. So yeah, I'm going to add the plus. Demko has been confirmed. So, yeah, jump on this one if you can. If you're in Canada, grab the plus 135 that's available. So I'm going to bump that up to 0.75 units here. So 0.75 units to win just over 1 unit on the Vancouver Canucks. Look, I mean, the Canucks, they've got a better goal share and expected goal share over the last month than the Rangers do in all situations. They edge out New York in a lot of statistical categories. They've been better on offense and defense. This one, you would think is going to be a bit of a lower scoring game for, I guess, these two teams with goaltenders like Shesterkin and Demko in the crease, but both of these teams have been, heavily tilted towards the over as of late. Vancouver more than 60% of the time. New York up around that as well. So I'm going to look here just um where are we at here? So the Rangers, over the last month, 17 games, they've gone to the over 64.7% of the time. And the Canucks, they're just a couple of spots behind the Rangers in that category. They've gone over in their game 60% of the time. So over 6.5 goals at minus 108 at NorthStar Bets. The best price in market is minus 104. So not too far off a pretty good price. I guess if you like the over, I've considered adding that one. I was going to be in a little bit more in love with it if it was going to be Casey DeSmith in goal for the Canucks. But now that it's confirmed to be Thatcher Demko, I still think this one's going to be a high scoring game. But I'm curious to see where this total moves, if it comes down a little bit or not, if we can get over 6.5. At even money, let's just say later on, that might be something to consider. So I'm not going to lock it in right now, but I would lean to the over in this one. Right now, just 0.75 units. So if you're $100 better, that's a $75 bet on the Vancouver Canucks to win around 1.01 units. So 1 unit and change on the Canucks. That's going to be my only bet for Monday. We've got 4 games. And like I said, there's a lot of interest here because they are all really, really good games. We've got the Flyers. They're hosting the Penguins. They'll look to beat Pittsburgh for the 3rd time this season. They've already won 2 games, home and home, in early December. They beat the Penguins in back-to-back games. Carter Hart is going to start for the Philadelphia Flyers. The model says that Philly should be a plus 103 underdog. So this one's basically a coin flip according to the model. We can get plus 106 at NorthStar Bets. I believe I'm looking for plus 109, at least plus 109 to justify a bet on the Flyers. And if depending on where you shop around, I'm just looking here. I don't know if I have any of these books available to me. Okay, there's one that has the Philadelphia Flyers at plus 110. That I've got available to me. Pretty much everywhere else across the board is plus 105 or even money. So yeah, that's a tough one. But yeah, plus 110, I would justify, or I would be able to justify betting on the Flyers, a half unit play. I'm going to hold off on this one for now and just stick with the Canucks and see where this one goes as far as the Flyers are concerned, because if it is available at other sports books, then yeah, I'll take a stab on the Flyers. But just going to hold tight on that one for right now. And of course, we've got the Dallas Stars in action against the Minnesota Wild. The Stars and Wild, they'll meet again on Wednesday in Dallas. Jake Ottinger, the goaltender that's been out for the Dallas Stars for a little bit now, says he's feeling good and he's close to returning. So the big question here is, will he return Monday against the Wild? Obviously, a big divisional game, big conference game. You would like to have him back. So I've got Ottinger projected to start more often than Scott Wedgwood here, but no interest in this one from a betting perspective, as you can see right now. Minus 141. That's the number on the Dallas Stars money line at NorthStar Bets. The Minnesota Wild coming back on the other side at plus 116. Minnesota has been really injured lately. Of course, they're still without Kirill Kaprizov, their best player. They're without Jared Spurgeon, Jonas Brodin. They're also without their starting goaltender, Philip Gustafson. But they have gotten some. They've got Matt Zuccarello back. Spurgeon could be ready to go today, so we'll see about that. Same goes for a couple of other players, I believe. So yeah, the Wild, their roster could change a little bit between now and that game on Monday, 6 p.m. start time here in Edmonton. So I'll be interested to see what's going on in warm-ups there. And of course, we've got the Boston Bruins and the Colorado Avalanche. The Bruins, they're playing their first of 2 games in 2 nights. They'll travel to Arizona and play the Coyotes on Tuesday. So yeah, this one's a tough one in my opinion. Looking around, minus 128 in favor of the Colorado Avalanche. That is the price at NorthStar Bets currently. The Boston Bruins coming back on the other side at plus 106. You can see some plus 110, plus 115 out there in the market. There's been a bit of, let's see the line history here. So the Bruins were as high as plus 118 at some sports books, but they're down to into the plus 110 range at a lot of sports books now at this point. Um, and as we can see here, there has been a move. So if you didn't grab that Canucks price that was hanging around there at plus 135 at Bet 99, you should have, because it didn't last long, down to plus 125 now. So yeah, good get on the Vancouver Canucks. I think this one should be in favor of the New York Rangers, closer to the minus 120 range. So up after you get up past the plus 125 price point, I start to have some interest in the Vancouver Canucks. But we're going to move on to Tuesday here. I've got some interest in some Tuesday games. Just going to have a little drink of Timmy's really quick. Anyway, so yeah, let's move on over to Tuesday. Locked in that play on the Vancouver Canucks, and one game interests me, more than any other game here on Tuesday. And it's the Los Angeles Kings at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, the Kings have struggled. They've got a 47% goal share, all situations over the last month, but they remain one of the best teams through the lens of expected goals. That hasn't changed. The Lightning, they are, I think, beatable. And so much so that the model thinks Los Angeles should be a money line favorite here. They are not, according to NorthStar Bets. They are plus 110 on the money line. That doesn't make much sense to me. I think the LA Kings should be minus 110. So easy bet to make here. I'm going to lock in a 1 unit play to win 1.1 units on the Los Angeles Kings for Tuesday, and that's going to be my best early bet for Tuesday for sure. I could justify going a little bit harder here on the LA Kings. There is the concern that David Riddick could get a start here. Of course, they're out on the East Coast, and the games aren't maybe as important as they would be if they were on the West Coast. But I'm going to lock in the Kings at plus 110 to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are still, dealing with some injury trouble here. They're still with Mikhail Sergachev. Not sure if he'll be back, or Eric Cernak. So yeah, this could be an opportunity to get a win here for the Los Angeles Kings, and I'm going to bet on that happening. So that is my best bet for Tuesday. But yeah, before moving on, let's talk a little bit about Connor Bedard, because of course we all learned that Bedard has a fractured jaw and he might be out up to 6 weeks. I had some viewers message me over the weekend asking, what my thoughts were on the Calder Trophy race given Bedard's injury. Well, he's still the clear favorite to win the Calder Trophy as the NHL's top rookie at minus 225, but there's definitely been an adjustment. His odds were minus 500 last week before the injury, so there's been some movement in the odds, and we saw. I took a look back at some sports books around the marketplace, and just comparing where the Calder Trophy odds were for some of the contenders. Although Bedard, he's the unanimous pick right now. Just came out with ESPN's Greg Wyshynski just came out with another NHL awards watch. We talked about that last week on the show, and in that article, he talked to the voters, and the voters all picked Bedard as their Calder Trophy winner. So nobody else got a first place vote. So yeah, he could miss maybe let's say 15 games if he's out the full six weeks, and I think that's going to make things interesting here. But looking at how things move, Luke Hughes, he was available a week ago at 15-1. Now he's 5-1. Brock Faber was available at 12-1. Now he's plus 550. We have Adam Van Tilly available at 20-1. Now he's down to 10-1. Marco Rossi was 25-1. Now he's down to plus 1150. So people jumped on what they saw as some good betting opportunities to get down on some other players that could possibly overtake Bedard, and get him and win the Calder Trophy. But look, I mean, just kind of doing some rough projections. I mean, I think that Bedard could miss 15 games or so, give or take a couple of games, and still finish with the most points in the NHL, as the top rookie in the NHL, because he's got a 9 point lead on the field right now. No, his production pretty much blows everybody else's out of the water, and I think the voters at the end of the day are going to look at his game by game production. I mean, a lot of these teams that are, have rookies that are in the running for the Calder Trophy, outside of Minnesota, a lot of these teams are going to miss the playoffs. So I mean, you're not really comparing anything except their production, and if that's the case, Bedard is going to outproduce them all, even if the point totals end up being a little bit closer than we thought they would be. The point per game totals, or the point per game, is not going to be very close, and I think that'll be ultimately the deciding factor, when it comes down to it. So, there will be some people that talk over the next little bit. Um, I think you'll see people, for sure say like it's going to be for the clicks, right? Like there's got to be some. There's got to be some you know there's going to be some people out there that will really rally for some of these players, but it's all going to be for quick clicks. I think at the end of the day, Bedard is going to outshine them all. So, especially after the moves, I don't see any reason really to go after any of these players. I'm sure there will be people out there that feel differently. Anything in the chat, Jake, that I should
No, not really. Just Connor in the chat is saying he thought you were talking about him for Calder, and that might be more interesting than talking about Bedard. But just clowning around in the chat. So yeah, everybody's listening intently, and I think they probably agree with you that Bedard's got it locked, even if he misses that much time.
Yeah, and Chris Lato in the chat also. He was away for a little bit, but good to have you back, Chris. Vancouver currently plus 130 at Patano, another Canadian book. I don't have access to that book anymore, because they actually closed off operations to the rest of Canada. They're just operating in Ontario right now. So, until things change here in Alberta, which apparently is supposed to be sometime here in 2024 in quarter one. That was the last rumor that I heard. No Botano for me. So yeah, that one's out of reach. But luckily, I was able to grab that price that was out there at another sports book. So shop around. It's going to give yourself the best chance to win. For me, like that is one of the, aside from handicapping the games, which is actually the funnest thing, the funnest part of my job, sitting down and breaking everything down, making predictions. Um, the next thing that I find really enjoyable is shopping around, finding good prices, feeling like I got one over on the sports book or the betting market, and and obtaining that line value that we all look to obtain. So I don't really know where the fun is. Like after that, it's just winning money. Like that's the only other, like I don't get enjoyment from sweating the games. I thought about that over the weekend. Like, do we they keep promoting sports betting as this fun activity. What's fun about it? Like the research and everything, some people find that fun, like myself, they find that fun. But you don't have to gamble. That's still going to be just as fun if you don't gamble, right? Like you're making predictions, you're going to grade yourself on whether you were right or wrong. If you decide not to go the gambling route after doing that, I don't think it's going to make it any more fun, unless you start winning money, because that's, at the end of the day, that's it. Everybody just wants to win money, right? I mean, it's not it's I don't know, and I don't know these people that are marketed to me as like the people that enjoy sweating every play throughout the game, and whether they win or lose, that doesn't matter because they had a good time. The excitement, I don't know. That's not me. I don't get excited. I'm just biting my nails and wanting it to be over. For me, I want to watch boring hockey games. I want the teams that I bet on to win 10-0 every night. I don't want any excitement whatsoever in my life. I just want to be a boring person that wins money. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining the show. If you haven't already, please like the video. That would help out a ton. We're gonna get in back into talking about Tuesday's NHL games a little bit here. Also, if you have not already, please subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting Marcus and I'm reading comments and I'm apparently it's apparently rendering me unable to speak. Please subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel. That would help out a ton. Need to keep growing these numbers, get it up. Next milestone that I'm looking to hit is 1,500 subscribers. We're a couple of hundred away, so if you could help me get there, I would really appreciate it. So would everybody else at Canada Sports Betting, and of course, check out NorthStar Bets via the link in the description below. Sports gambling is just like playing the stock market: buy low, sell high, says Insight. And I mean, yeah, there's definitely an element of truth to that. Speaking of buy low, sell high, check out the strength of schedule metric on CanadaSportsBetting.ca. I use the CSB projection model to estimate who's got the easiest and toughest remaining schedules in the NHL. That'll be updated a little while later today, so you can check that out and maybe inform your futures betting, or actually you can figure out whether there's a good opportunity, a good stretch coming up where you really want to dig in on some teams, whether that be fading them or tailing them because of the scheduling. And maybe there's some futures betting opportunities. I mean, we talked about the Florida Panthers. They've got a much easier schedule than the Boston Bruins remaining. The race is really close here. You can get the Florida Panthers still at NorthStar Bets 2-1 to win the Atlantic Division. So I think there is something to consider there for sure. But let's get back, talk about Tuesday a little bit more before we end this thing. Of course, we've got a big game between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Winnipeg Jets. No, I'm just kidding. That's not a big game. We've got a big matchup between Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard. Oh, wait, Connor Bedard's not in the lineup. But the Oilers, speaking of that, I mean, the model has the Oilers at minus 372. And I'm curious here because, look, I'm not going to be laying the minus 312 here. That doesn't seem fun. That's the best price in market right now. That's what's available at NorthStar Bets, minus 312 on the Oilers money line. But I mean, I might consider the dreaded square puck line favorite bet here because look, I know they took down the Flames on Sunday, but this Blackhawks roster is an abomination. It's not an NHL roster, not even close. So I mean, it's going to be, it's hard to see Chicago doing anything on Tuesday aside from getting blown out by the Edmonton Oilers. The model thinks they'll win roughly 79% of the time. The next one that I've got a little bit of interest in here is the Boston Bruins at the Arizona Coyotes, because I mean, Boston, like they have not been great. They ranked 28th in all situations in expected goals percentage over the last month, according to evolvinghockey.com. The Coyotes, I think, they're if you were wondering if the Coyotes were a wagon, I never thought so, and I don't think so now. They ranked 26th in expected goals percentage over the last month in all situations. They've only scored about 42% of the goals in all situations during that stretch too. The Bruins, they've continued to defy expectations and defy expected goals, because Boston, like I said, they ranked 28th in expected goals in all situations, but they've been scoring over 54% of the goals during that stretch in reality. So, the Bruins, they've always got that goaltending that they can rely on. Of course, they've got some very talented players like David Pastrnak, etc. But it's Coyotes in or nothing at this point. The odds at NorthStar Bets, not quite enough, plus 138, but there are some obscure sports books that I don't have access to that have the Coyotes at a much bigger price. So, get up in the plus 150s or something like that. If that is available to me in the next little bit, then that's something I'm going to consider. I think, oftentimes when a team is playing 2 games in 2 nights and sports books do put the game up for the following day, put odds up for that game, the second half of a back-to-back, it's done so with a lot more uncertainty, and the price usually doesn't stick around where it is originally listed at. So that's something to consider there. But just one bet for Tuesday right now. We're going to break Tuesday's NHL games down on Tuesday's show in much more detail. But for Monday's show, it's all about getting the early betting value. And I think we'll end up doing that with the Los Angeles Kings. I would be, frankly surprised. Look, it's already moved NorthStar Bets down to plus 104. So we've seen the odds move 6 cents already. The Tampa Bay Lightning, not a team that I would think that anybody really is going to look at and say, wow, minus 125. I'll bet my money on that for them to beat the LA Kings. Why would you do that? The Lightning, they're struggling right now. So are the Kings, but the Kings have shown a lot more good things this season. They were one of the best teams, and still, if you look at their underlying metrics, they are one of the best teams. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, Picked up some Panthers plus 200 division futures this morning based on that myself. So he's talking about the strength of schedule. That's Mitch in the chat. Yeah, that is at NorthStar Bets. Actually, I'm going to double check that because I did look this morning, or was it last night? I'm going to check again here. Atlantic Division futures. I'll bring that up and we'll see. We'll see what the price is. So futures. Atlantic Division. Yep, 2-1. The Boston Bruins are a minus 112 favorite. They were minus 139. Before the week, heading into the weekend, we talked about that on the show. The Panthers, they were plus 250. My model, my projections, which will be updated a little bit later this morning at canadasportsbetting.ca. I'll tweet that out. So follow me at Digital Gambler. My model prior to the weekend had Boston with a 48% chance, so they shouldn't be minus 112, and the Florida Panthers with a 42% chance, so they should not be 2-1. They should be in the um plus 150-ish range there. But yeah, so I think the Florida Panthers still a good bet. We've got, I believe, only 2 points separating them now at this time. The Boston Bruins should have a game in hand. Um, the Bruins, okay, yeah, so 2 points. Boston does have a game in hand. The Panthers do have more wins. Um, so Boston, they're going to use up that game in hand here, though, playing 2 games in 2 nights. So, yeah, by the middle of the week, by Wednesday, these two teams should be even in terms of games played. If the Florida Panthers can beat the St. Louis Blues, they will keep their current pace. But yeah, like I would not be surprised by the end of this week to see the Florida Panthers catch the Boston Bruins and end up in first place in the Atlantic Division. So yeah, there's several books out there, or at least one more. I'm guessing more than that, but at least one more according to the chat here that have the Florida Panthers at 2-1 to win the Atlantic Division. And I mean, just on the surface, you look, Florida's got a much better looking team right now. Not on the surface or underneath the surface. Florida's got a much better looking team, and it's been the case all season long. They've been one of the best teams in expected goals percentage. Boston, not so much, and that's been drifting the other way as the season has gone on, as their schedule has gotten tougher, and their schedule is only going to continue to get tougher. So something to consider there. But yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday with another episode of the Puck Portfolio. I appreciate all of you joining the show today. I hope you find some betting value first and foremost, and of course, hope the bets come through. And yeah, we'll be back to break down more of Tuesday's NHL odds. Look ahead to Wednesday, of course, on Tuesday's show. I'll have an article on Tuesday, my weekly betting insights article powered by NorthStar Bets. That'll be updated NHL betting trends, some other insights from around the league. Appreciate it. Once again, please subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel and like this video if you have not already. Also, don't forget this is available on Spotify and Apple. We upload each episode shortly after we finish the live stream. So if you couldn't tune in for the whole show, you can always check it out via the podcast formats that platforms, that I listed there. So anyway, Take care. Good luck with your bets tonight, and we'll see you again on Tuesday.